reasons for this are not hard to fathom. Wind and solar power depend on the weather and provide energy for around 6 to 7 hours a day, maybe, if we're lucky. What's more, they generate DC, or direct current electricity, not the alternating current that runs through the grid, and which almost every electrical appliance we use is designed to run on. So wind and solar energy must first be converted to AC and then synchronised precisely to the 50 hertz cycle that runs the rest of the grid. That's a very complex technical challenge, requires expensive equipment to fix. And when you add to that the need for backup power, increasingly that's quick-fire gas, at those points of day when the supply from wind and solar dwindles and demand increases, well, we're talking big money. Plus, as we're discovering, every time you build a wind or solar generator, it has to be connected to the grid, which means more transmission lines. Well, which is why in last week's budget, $20 billion of our money was allocated to building massive new transmission lines in southeastern Australia. Well, those are the facts, of course, which are seemingly irrelevant in these days of the dumbed-down, fear-driven discussion about energy policy, the one we're having right now. Here's Chris Bowen generating a bit more wind of his own on the 7:30 report last month.
I'll tell you what isn't changing, Sarah, the fact that the more renewables you have in the system, that's the point I'm making, to reduce power prices, to get emissions down, actually the same levers achieve both things. I know I keep making it, but I keep making it because it's so fundamental and important that renewable energy is by many lengths of the straight, the cheapest form of energy. Getting more renewables is the best way, in fact the only way, to provide any possibility of getting downward pressure on energy prices. We need much more renewable energy. Yes, that's a challenge. We need to build a lot of wind. We need to build a lot of solar. We need to build offshore wind. We need to do all the above and build the transmission.
Chris Bowen, thank you very much indeed for your time this evening. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, Sarah.
Indeed, Mr. Bowen, thank you for your time. I spoke to Mark P. Mills from the Manhattan Institute in New York last week. Here's what he had to say. Do you know of any jurisdiction in the world where a switch from hydrocarbons to energy generated from renewables has made energy bills cheaper?
No, in fact, we could state the inverse. Every place, every state in the United States, every country in Europe, where the share of electricity from wind and solar has increased, has led to higher cost electricity for consumers and higher cost energy in general. And unfortunately, generally ignored is lower reliability and critically, which is what Europe's discovering now, lower resilience. And resilience is different than reliability there.
Well, the fact is, Mr. Bowen, that the only jurisdiction in the world that has brought energy prices down by switching to wind and solar is La La Land. Everywhere else, the laws of physics, engineering and meteorology apply.